As night descended upon the tranquil village, a sense of unease hung heavy in the air, a prelude to the impending onslaught that would shatter the peace of its humble dwellings. Sir Leif's band of brigands, hardened warriors with eyes as cold as steel and hearts as black as night, moved with the stealth of shadows, their every step calculated and deliberate. Clad in kempt garments that bore the scars of countless battles, they were a well-trained crew bound by a common hunger for blood and plunder. The main road cut through the heart of the village like a lifeline, snaking its way from one end to the other, guided by the gentle contours of the valley's terrain. It was a path worn smooth by the feet of generations, now marred by the ominous presence of two brigand squads, their leaders, Sir Leif and Bjorn, orchestrating a calculated advance along its length. Olaf, his nerves electrified by a potent blend of fear and anticipation, trailed Sir Leif closely, his breaths coming in quick, shallow bursts as they moved with purpose towards their target. Sir Leif's silent gestures directed the soldiers to encircle the unsuspecting homes, their numbers overwhelming, as each dwelling became besieged by the encroaching darkness of their intent. Yet, amidst the chaos and the clamour of their approach, it was the persistent bark of a lone dog that would ultimately defy their designs. At Sir Leif's behest, Olaf found himself standing before the imposing gate of the village chief's abode, flanked by a cadre of hulking men armed with crude weapons. With a suddenness that left no room for hesitation, the door swung wide, revealing Adrian, his expression a mix of curiosity and alarm at the tumult outside. Without a moment's pause, Olaf lunged forward, his club finding its mark with a sickening thud as Adrian crumpled to the ground, dazed and disoriented. In an instant, his hands were bound, the fabric of linen rope biting into his flesh as he was rendered helpless. From within the confines of the house, a voice, weathered by age and wisdom, resonated with a sense of foreboding. Thaddeus Oakhart, sensing the impending storm, knew that disaster loomed on the horizon. Adrian's urgent warning cut through the chaos, a desperate plea for flight as he cried out, "Run! They're coming! The wolves!" But Olaf and his cohorts paid no heed to such warnings, their resolve unyielding as they stormed into the sanctuary of the chief's dwelling, overwhelming its inhabitants with ruthless efficiency. Leading the charge alongside Sir Leif was Bjorn, a towering figure whose mere presence inspired fear and trembling in those unfortunates enough to cross his path. With sinewy muscles rippling beneath a cloak of midnight, he epitomized the brute force and ruthless cunning that defined his band of marauders. Behind them trailed a ragtag assembly of miscreants and mercenaries, their faces obscured by the darkness, their intentions veiled in malice as they descended upon the unsuspecting village like a pack of ravenous wolves. Bjorn and his band of brigands closed in on their own quarry, Ira and Caleb, their cries of alarm ringing out like a clarion call across the village. Bound together in a cruel embrace by the unforgiving grasp of a fishing net, they stood exposed and vulnerable, stripped of their dignity and their defences against the biting chill of the night air. In that moment, fear reigned supreme, casting its shadow over the fate of all who dared to defy the will of those who sought to conquer and to dominate. As the first echoes of alarm reverberated through the narrow streets, the villagers found themselves ensnared in a web of terror, their homes transformed into fortresses besieged by the relentless advance of their merciless assailants. From every corner of the village, cries of anguish and despair echoed into the night, mingling with the cacophony of clashing steel and splintering wood as Sir Leif and Bjorn's squads pressed forward with unyielding determination. Within moments, the once tranquil hamlet was transformed into a battlefield, its inhabitants mere pawns in a deadly game of conquest and domination. The brigands, emboldened by their overwhelming numbers and driven by greed and bloodlust, showed no mercy as they laid waste to everything in their path, leaving a trail of destruction and despair in their wake. With each passing moment, the villagers' hopes of repelling the invaders dwindled, their fate sealed by the iron grip of their captors. Bound by ropes woven from the very fabric of their fear, they were herded like cattle into the heart of the village square. where they would await their fate at the hands of those who now held sway over their lives. In the darkness of that fateful night, amidst the ruins of their once idyllic home, the villagers knew that their struggle for survival had only just begun.